everyone, this is Ashwini. Welcome to CKA Cert Hands-On channel. The purpose of my channel is to get people who want to give CKA 2025 exam get started on their hands-on practicing journey once they finish a formal course of CKA and have a basic understanding of Kubernetes concepts. This creates the depth in your understanding of each concept and helps you crack CKA exam. CKA exam consists of questions from 5 different categories. We're currently in troubleshooting category, which has 30% weightage in CKA exam. I have a playlist for each category of CKA exam. Please do check out my playlist for networking and storage categories that carry 20% and 10% weightage. The links for the playlists are provided in every video. With that introduction, let's get started with today's video. This is the 7th video in troubleshooting series. Now let's try to first set the context and try to understand the question. It says some issue on the control plane, unable to run kubectl commands. It says okay, try to run an example command, and it says configuration file available at kube.kube/config. Now this is a very interesting problem and question. So far we have only been solving about pod creation, storage, networking, and just troubleshooting about different things while trying to create a pod. But this is a different set of question altogether, which we haven't attempted before. So let's try to understand what it is trying to say. So okay, the first thing is it says okay, try to run any kubectl commands, right? Get nodes, okay, and I don't get anything. I basically all kubectl, and if I do like a kube get pods, yeah, nothing will happen, right? Because kubectl is not working. And what is the issue? It says could not get current server API group list, get HTTPS and some link, a server link, and then there is a port, and dial TCP address 644333 invalid port. Okay, so now where is this coming from? This is actually coming from this file. So let's have a look at it. So yeah, we have something, we have a cluster information, we have a context, and we have current context. Now what exactly is this file? Let's try to understand that before we try to solve this. It is called a Kubernetes configuration file. Now let's try to go to the documentation to understand what a kubeconfig file is. It is to organize cluster access. Use kubeconfig files to organize information about clusters, users, namespaces, and authentication mechanisms. The kubectl command line tool uses kubeconfig files to find the information it needs to choose a cluster and communicate with the API server of a cluster. So if you can see here, now when we did a kubectl command and get nodes, what it does is it tries to and we have also selected the context, right, which is Kubernetes admin at Kubernetes. So then it will look at this configuration file, which is called kubeconfig file, and it looks at the cluster, and then it tries to contact, looking at these settings, it tries to contact the Kube API server. Now what is the context? And so for us, what we have set is the context is Kubernetes admin at Kubernetes. So the cluster is Kubernetes and the user is Kubernetes admin. So okay, that is the context, and then now it got the cluster, so it will try to go to the cluster whose name is Kubernetes, and then the API server. This is the configuration for the API server, which has an IP address and then a port specification. But what was the error that we had is that it could not get the API group listing, and the issue is that the address 644333 is an invalid port. Now fine, it is an invalid port, but what is the port? That we do not know, right? So we can search the documentation for this. So it is Kube API server port. And if you see, we have by default the Kubernetes API server listens on port 6443 on the first non-local host network interface. So this is, but on a production workload, I think it'll be served on 443. But in general, the default is 6443. So let's try to update the port to that port. And now let's try to get notes. Okay, now we are able to get some information because the API, the port API server port was wrong, and we have updated to the right port. And when we do like a kubectl get notes, now it tries to again look at the kube config file, get the right cluster, and it tries to communicate with the API server on the right port, and now it's able to get some information. And if you go to the documentation, Kube API server, Kubernetes API server validates and configures data for the API objects, which includes pods, services, replication controllers, and also others. Now, also, I want to show you something else. Kubernetes components. So we've got an API server. This is the API server that I was talking about, and that is what exposes the Kubernetes HTTP API. So what I'm trying to say here is, in order to solve questions like this, it is really required to understand a lot of concepts like Kubernetes architecture and the components, and which component is required for what, and how the communication happens. So all of this is required, and it's fine if you do not know it. It's when you try to solve these kind of problems, and if you do not have the knowledge, you will get struck, right? And that's fine, and it is an opportunity to go back to the documentation to understand these concepts, and then again come back and solve this. And that's how your understanding will be clear, and then when you attempt next time, you will just be able to attempt it without even referring the documentation. I will try to check the solution now. So the validation is successful. That's the video about it's about Kube configuration file, and also about Kube API server port. Now, if you think my videos are helpful, please do subscribe to my channel, and also please like and share my videos. I will provide the KillerCoda link, and also the relevant documentation links, and also the playlist links for each category of CKA exam in the description. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.